right now. I'm working with another company on some customer success efforts with their community. I'm working with a company to build their very first customer community. And that's mostly what people come to me for. But I really love that I have such a rich history in this field and that I can work on lots of different types of projects. And that is the most exciting part of this job, I think. If I was doing the same thing all the time, I'd get bored. And it's also one of the benefits of working for myself is I can choose which projects I'm going to sign on to and be part of. And I've got a lot of fun things that I'm doing right now and lined up through the summer and even into the fall.
Today, I am excited to have Jenny Weigle with us. She is a strategic consultant who has worked with some well-known brands like Sephora, Stripe, Airbnb, Google, and many, many more such household names. She has helped them build their online communities. She has been building communities for the last 10 years and has helped more than 100 brands in this time. In this interview, we will talk about the highs and the lows of building your own consulting business.
The highs that come with the role of owning your own business and running my own consultancy, they're the biggest highs I've had in my entire career. And the lows are different than, say, a low I might have had in my past jobs.
We'll also talk about why she failed to start her consulting practice for the first time.
I just jumped into it and had not put the thought and the planning necessary into what it takes to build a business.
She will discuss the course that she used to start her consulting business the second time around and how it changed things for her.
They have a course called Momentum, and I made an investment in myself to sign up for that, which ended up being one of the most important things I've ever done in business.
Finally, she will discuss why she gave up trying to beat the imposter syndrome and instead has learned to live with it.
It occurred to me, everybody has this. Everybody, even the most successful people out there, and business leaders too that I follow, right?
So if you're a consultant or somebody who wants to become a community consultant, then this interview will give you a lot of actionable insights and motivation to chart your own path. Enjoy.
Hey, welcome to Beginner Maps, where we showcase stories of scary career pivots so that you get the courage, path, and role models to carve out a career that you love.
Okay, Jenny, let us start by talking about you telling us about the story of how you started that 4,000 member community in LA when you moved there.
Ooh, you want to take me back to my LA roots, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I am a native Floridian who now resides in Los Angeles, and I moved here 9 years ago. And when I did, I didn't know anyone. I don't have any family out here. I was seeking friends, particularly female friends. I missed my group of gals that from Chicago and from my hometown of Tampa, and so I was trying to meet people out and definitely meeting people, but just a lot of people who really just wanted to go to bars and drink. And you know what, I like to have myself a good time. But I was also at this time of my life where I was in a lot of spiritual and personal growth, and I wanted to know myself better, and I wanted to attend talks and lectures and events that, that were more reflective. And so it's kind of hard to find other people who want to be as woo-woo as that, right? So, but
Yeah.
I did, because after going to a couple of different events, meeting a few women who sounded like they too wanted to see a community around this, I started a Facebook group called the Spiritual Sisters of Los Angeles, and it's still around today, like you mentioned. Now, I'm no longer the administrator, but the team that is administrating it is still active and lively, and it is a great place for women to come in LA and be able to find other people who are on a spiritual path, and lots of events happening too. There's a lot going on in that group. It was so busy. That's why I had to kind of, transfer ownership over. I was just like, this got really busy. But thankfully, through that, I did find an amazing group of women who to this day are still some of my best friends in Los Angeles. And we still do woo-woo things together. And yeah, I guess it's just a part of living in LA.
I love this story so much, and especially because I moved to a different city last year I don't have any family here, but I do have a few friends. And like when you said that story to me, like on our previous call, I was like, oh my God, why didn't I do something like this? Why haven't I done something like this when I moved in? Create a group and a community of people that I would like to hang out with, something that could have, that can potentially result in meeting my future best friends. So that's why I wanted to start with this, because I feel that it shows your very natural community builder instincts.
I feel like it does. I feel like I've always had that in me. I mean, I started my first community in my neighborhood when I was 9 years old. And so the funny
What was
thing
that
is,
about?
oh, I'll tell you that in a second. But what I find funny is I was in Los Angeles for a year and a half before the idea came to me. Wait, why don't I just start
Hmm.
this community? So, I mean, and I'm a community builder. So what was I thinking for that year and a half? I guess I was just getting adjusted to Los Angeles. And actually, I did have a job at the time, the first year I was here, where I was traveling to Indianapolis once or twice a month for a whole week at a time. So I felt like even though I'd moved to LA, I felt like I wasn't here a lot, and that was hard to make connections. But you want to take it back to my youth. So, okay, all right. Yes, I was 9 years old when I somehow, for some reason, wanted to formalize the group of kids in our neighborhood that got together on a regular basis, and we would ride bikes together. And there were some woods behind our home, and we would go and play in the woods and climb trees and just do all kinds of activities together. For some reason, I just wanted to like formalize that, and so I created a club for us, a name called the Cool Kids Club. And so when we got together, we had some sort of identity, and I don't know why, it just was something innate inside me that wanted to do that. And everybody was like, yeah, it's cool. All right. Yeah, we're cool. So we're the Cool Kids Club. My sibling, my little sister at the time, she would just roll her eyes. Oh gosh, like siblings do. And I'm like, look, sis, I made a career out of that. It was good times. I have nothing but great memories of the Cool Kids Club and all the fun things we did. And I attribute that as the start of my community efforts.
I love this because I think this is one of the things that we also try to get into on this podcast is how do you identify whether you are fit for a career in communities? I mean, whether you're like naturally gonna just blend into the work that that community building requires, and this checking out the breadcrumbs from your past and from your childhood and looking at them, that is one of the best ways to do it.
I've done a lot of reflection about my childhood and why I am the way I am, besides community stuff. And yeah, to your point, Nitesh, I think I figured out where my community roots do come from, even before the Cool Kids Club. So my
Mm.
parents were both one of six kids, so they come from
Okay.
big families. And I was fortunate that a lot of my aunts and uncles lived around us in the Tampa Bay area when I was growing up. And my parents they made it so that our home was the center of a lot of family activities and gatherings. And if it wasn't a family gathering, it was friends. We had people over at our house all the time celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, just a random Sunday afternoon. And so I was very much used to always having people around, mostly for a purpose, some kind of celebration. And yeah, and so I look at my life now and I think, why am I so comfortable with that? Why do I gravitate toward community building so naturally? And I really think that that was instilled from my parents, and seeing how they were always bringing people together for things. And they did a lot to keep our family in touch, not just aunts and uncles, but extended cousins and extended cousins. So I'm grateful for that today. That made me who I am. That inspired the Cool Kids Club and eventually the Spiritual Sisters of Los Angeles, and so many other things I've been involved in.
Love this. I love this story so much, Kenny. This is yeah, it goes to show, and this community and this exuberant side of yours is very visible to me, even when we're talking right now. I can just understand what it would be like to be a part of the Cool Kids Club.
Should I revise it, bring it back?
Yes, please.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Now I want to switch gears and take us back to the present. Can you tell us what do you do as a brand community builder?
Sure. Well, as a community strategist, I like to think that I do epic community shit. Sorry, can I say that here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's my little unofficial tagline for my business because I do work on community strategy, but I work on so many different facets of community. I'm working with a company on some hiring efforts right now. I'm working with another company on some customer success efforts with their community. I'm working with a company to build their very first customer community, and that's mostly what people come to me for. But I really love that I have such a rich history in this field and that I can work on lots of different types of projects, and that is the most exciting part of this job, I think. If I was doing the same thing all the time, I'd get bored. And it's also one of the
Hmm.
benefits of working for myself is I can choose which projects I'm going to sign on to and be part of. And I've got a lot of fun things that I'm doing right now and lined up through the summer and even into the fall, which I can't talk about yet, but I can talk about
Okay.
some most for the most part. Anyway, so I just have amazing clients and the opportunities to work with some of the brands that I'm currently working with and will be working with this summer is always a blessing and always exciting, and I always learn something new from it. I hope I'm bringing as much value to them as I'm getting out of the projects.
I'm sure you are because I was just looking at your website. By the way, listeners can find Jenny on jenny.community. And I was looking at at the website and I saw this testimonial from one of your previous clients. He's called Ricardo and he's from Stripe. And one of the things that he said in the testimonials, I'm going to quote that. He says, Jenny often went above and beyond for her client, relying on her creativity to build memorable brand experiences. Now, in this context, can you tell us what makes a brand experience memorable and how you do it?
Oh my gosh. I really like to work with my clients to think out of the box as much as possible. Now, there's a lot of best practices that I do think every community should be following. But the more you can make a truly unique experience on a community that no one else or very few communities are doing, I think the more memorable that will be for the users, the more valuable, and the more people will want to be part of that. So one of my favorite things to do is to brainstorm events and programs and even different content types, all about what is that user going to experience when they log into this community? What are they going to take in? What are they going to see? And I try to, as best I can, make it a holistic experience or take in the holistic experience because you got to take into account where they're coming from, what kind of web property that might be. You got to take, are they looking at things on a desktop, laptop, or mobile screen? What is the first thing that draws their eye? What is the first content they're seeing and exposed to? So the first words they're reading. And do they immediately see what they need, or do they have to go searching for it? Are they excited by anything they see, like some upcoming events? Oh, all of these things, it's part of my process that I work on with clients, and hopefully to make the most well-rounded and unique and exciting experience possible. And yes, shout out to Ricardo Navarro, who's now at Meta. And at the time I was working with him, he was a community manager for Visa's developer community, which just won a big award. I don't know the name of it, but so good job, Ricardo. He set the foundation there and he's continuing to do great things.
This is very interesting. Okay, now I want to really understand your life as a community consultant and just a consultant. So I've got a few questions and let's rapid fire through them. So you ready?
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Tell us, what does a typical client project look like for you?
My most typical projects are the brands that are creating their very first digital customer community. So a lot of that is bringing up these topics of conversations, and it's the first time they're ever hearing things like talking about gamification and moderation on a level like this, rewards and recognition. Onboarding to a community it's got similarities to onboarding to a digital product, but it's also going to be different. So that's the most typical project that I work on.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay, and how long is a typical engagement last?
Let's see, a brand creating their very first digital customer community. I'd say anywhere from 2.5 to 4 months.
All right. And how many clients do you work with at one time, parallelly?
My magic number is 4. I've definitely taken 5 at one time. And I keep it small like that because of the hours I'm dedicating to each client, and uh, and also just the hours I need to save to work on my own business as well.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, that was the rapid fire round. Now, like I want to understand from you, like why do you think working as a consultant and having your own independent consulting business is better than being a full-time employee?
I think that circumstance is going to be different for every person, and the reason it's good works for me is a little bit because of an entrepreneurial dream. It's a little bit because of a couple things here. All right, let me sort them out in my head. I've always wanted to work for myself and see if I had the ability, if I had the chops to create a business, sustain a business, grow a business. And that is still being determined because I have a young business, so still working on all of those. But I did try this a number of years ago. I tried going out on my own. Now, I didn't put as much planning into it. It was kind of on a whim. It wasn't Jenny.community. I was just doing some freelancing and I didn't put enough planning behind it. And I failed. And I had to go back to a corporate job, which ended up being amazing for me, actually. So there was always a little something inside of me that wanted to make it work. And so I'd love to say I'm making it work, but there's still so many things for me to learn. That's one of the neat things about this life that is both challenging and exciting. So if you want to be constantly in a state of learning, start your own business, become a consultant. And there are surprises and there are things you didn't think of. And the personal growth that comes out of this is more that I've had in the last year and a half than I've had the rest of my life combined. And the highs that come with the role of owning your own business and running my own consultancy, they're the biggest highs I've had in my entire career because I can look at achievements and say, I did this. I brought in this client and worked with them and collaborated and completed this goal with them. And I helped them to create this experience and I built this book of business. And so, yeah, there's some major highs. And then there are lows, and the lows are different than, say, a low I might have had on a bad day. If I was having a bad day in my past jobs, it's a very different low than the lows that I might have in this life, just working for myself, because I work for myself. And yes, I have resources, I have friends, I have my therapist, I have support that I could go to if I am kind of in a funk or not sure about what to do about something. And yet still I'm working for myself. So sometimes this can be a lonely life. And that's why I have done my best to reach out and create different contacts with other consultants. Well, just, and not just consultants, but other people who work in this field. I've got a wonderful group and of girlfriends who have supported me ever since I launched my business, and they're there for me in those times I might need to talk something out to get out of those lows. So I want to be real to anyone considering this life. Like, there are those days, the highs, and there are very tough, challenging days. And you will question everything you're doing and you will doubt yourself. And you've got to set up some kind of a network for yourself where you can have an outlet to express those feelings, express those emotions, and work through them.
Thank you so much for being so candid here, Jenny. This advice was gold.
It's really important. There's a mental health aspect to running your own business that is not one of the most obvious things to someone who's thinks, I'm going to start my own business. Like, you will have so many thoughts going through your head that will be in conflict with you pushing forward on your business. And so I think it's of great importance to set up something that will work for you for your own mental health.
Makes sense. Okay, now I'm gonna pass the mic to Piyush for a bit because he has prepared a little game for you, and let's just get there.
Oh,
Okay.
Piyush. All right, I'm ready.
Okay, Jenny.
I'll be ready in a second.
Yeah.
Now I'm ready. Okay.
So we're going to play a game called Routine Roulette. What we're going to do is I'm going to call out some times of the week, and you tell me what you might be doing around that time. So through this game, we want to give the listeners a feel of what a week is like in your shoes. So sounds good?
Ooh, routine roulette. Is this a creation of this podcast?
Yes, but
Yeah.
the name is a creation of ChatGPT.
We're doing something ChatGPT inspired. I feel so modern and trendy. All right, let's do it. No, I love it. This is so unique. I've never been asked to do this on any other podcast. So let's go.
Okay, let's begin with the first day of the week. It's Monday. It's 9 a.m. on a Monday. What are you doing?
I am already into client calls or spending time with wonderful people like you filming podcasts.
Okay, moving on. It's 4 p.m. on a Wednesday.
4 p.m. on a Wednesday.
Yes.
All right. I am most likely transitioning from, oh no, that's on Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday, I'm probably heading to the gym. And I love my gym and I do weightlifting and bodybuilding there. It's a CrossFit gym. I actually don't like the CrossFit classes. I like the lifting classes. And I love them. So I'm heading to the gym at that time to go and lift and I just love feeling how strong I can be. And I'm working towards seeing how strong I really am.
Wow, like gymming in the middle of a work day. So that's one of the pros of being a consultant.
Yes. If I am, usually I'm wrapped up by that time for the day.
Oh, okay. Now moving on. It's 10 p.m. It's Thursday. What are you doing?
I'm probably asleep. I go to sleep early.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on weekdays at least. On weekdays, I'm probably in bed by 9:30. So weekends, no, that could vary.
So what are you up to 9 p.m. on Thursday?
Up to 9 p.m. All right, so probably getting ready for bed, but coming off of watching something on the couch with my life partner, John. And we have a lot of different shows we watch together. We are very into like just about every Disney series and storyline. We're loving The Mandalorian right now. There's all kinds of other shows we like. There's like historical fiction shows we love. There's one on Netflix called The Last Kingdom. We're rewatching that right now. It's so good. It's got like 5 seasons and the 6th one's about to come out. Yeah, so I don't know. So we're probably just wrapping up watching something together and taking in some of the fandom we both share.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. Wow. Now it's the last day of the week. It's Friday. It's 6 p.m. What are you up to?
6 p.m. All right, getting out of a lifting class and, coming home to change and get ready and either go do something with friends, go to a great dinner and have a nice meal to celebrate the, end of the close of the week. Or if it's a night that we have my stepdaughter, we're planning something fun to do with her for the evening.
Wow, that was a great game. Over to you, Nitesh. Thanks, Jenny.
That's an
I
awesome
love
game. All right, ChatGPT for the win.
Yeah, ChatGPT is great, by the way. And I was taking note on the shows that you mentioned. So I'll be watching them and checking them out.
I could go on and on about the shows because besides what he and I watch together, and he doesn't watch a lot of TV, but we do take in shows together. I watch a lot of other things separate, like Succession and Ted Lasso, and some other, just anyways, lots of other things. So yeah, so then I gotta keep up with like all of my shows. Anyway, I fall behind quite easily. So I'm not always the most up to date on the shows.
Makes sense. Okay. I'm not up to date on any of the shows that you mentioned, so I am the furthest behind. But I'll catch up.
If you ever need suggestions, you know where to come to.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about your transitions and your scary pivots in your career. So you mentioned in our previous call that you took an internship on the side outside of your work to learn social media marketing skills. Is that right?
That is correct. This was probably around 2007, 2008. Yeah. And
That is,
go ahead.
yeah, I'm gonna just first call out how non-traditional of a thing it is to do. Like you have a full-time job and then you're taking another internship on the side to learn this other skill. Like, do you also feel that it's non-traditional?
I did at the time. It's much more common today. But at the time, I was working for a company, yes, very traditional marketing. And when I had tried to suggest and even present like a plan for them to start blogging, I wasn't even necessarily suggesting social media marketing yet, because I was still learning about wait, businesses are using Facebook pages for business reasons. Like I was still learning all of that. And I was taking a course that HubSpot offered at the time. And so I was learning and I was doing this internship and I was working full time. And I just knew that at the company I was at, and it was a great company, but they turned down my plan. Were not interested in blogs. They thought blogs and social media in general were going to be a fad and they would go away. And something inside me knew that if I if I'm going to be following this path of my career, this is only going to grow. I don't want to fall behind in these skills that are going to be so necessary in a couple of years. So yeah, my first career transition, you could say, was going from traditional marketer to educating myself on how to be a social media marketer. But those efforts paid off because it got me my first job in social media, which was working for careerbuilder.com in Chicago as their first ever social media and community manager. And wait, correct me if I'm wrong, when we first talked, did I tell you about the story of how I tweeted about that job and the hiring manager noticed?
No, but tell us again.
Yes. Okay. So excited. I applied for this job and I go on Twitter to say, I'm so excited. I just applied for a dream job. And the hiring manager saw and wrote, I forget what she said back, but she did say something through the like career builder account that was like, best of luck or something. And then after I got the job, she did confide in me and say, you're the only applicant who tweeted about this for a social media job, and so that's kind of funny that no one else used social media to capture the attention of the brand you're trying to get the job with. But that's how new social media was at the time. And I was just did it out of excitement. I didn't do it as a tactic to get their attention. But then when I saw they responded to me, I was excited. So that job was, it was so fun. And it was so neat to be the first person in that role for that company and really help them set a foundation for everything they were doing on social media. It was, I mean, that job opened so many doors for me. It was amazing.
I love the story because it shows how much of an almost like a visionary you were with respect to your career, and also the trend that you were seeing in the market. You saw that social media will be a big thing and something that businesses can take, can use, and you didn't have those skills, so you went on to create something and just make that opportunity for yourself. Now, with this context, like I want to ask you, like, do you have any advice for like young people today who are in a similar position, who might be, who want to capitalize on the next trend in technology? Maybe that's ChatGPT, or maybe that's something else. But what should people do in order to like future-proof their career?
Yeah, well, if you're in this position I was, no one was going to come to me and tell me the answer for how to continue my career. I had to be proactive. I had to find the resources myself. And luckily, the person I was doing my internship with is the person who turned me on to that HubSpot course. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this course. And it was free, thank goodness. So, but look for free or cheap resources that or whatever fits your budget. There you can go and educate yourself. If you know that there's something you have an interest in, but you're like, oh, but I don't have the skills for that. Go and start to educate yourself. Take on an internship, take on volunteer work so that you can get experience on your resume in those areas. That internship experience is what helped me get the job at Career Builder. If I had not taken those steps and done that outside of my full-time job, I'm sure Career Builder wouldn't have been interested because I wouldn't have had anything to prove that I understood that work and that I had experience in it.
Hmm, that's great. Now I wanna pivot a little bit again and talk about the first time that you tried to start your consulting business. You told us earlier that you couldn't do it. You failed at that. Have you thought about why that happened and where you fell short at that time?
Oh, yes, I've thought a lot about that.
Mm.
And it was all part of me preparing for this business, actually. I really felt like I needed to do some serious reflecting on what happened before.
Mm.
So at that time in my life, when I started that, I made kind of a rash decision to leave my job at Salesforce, which was another great job that I've had. But the reason I left so quickly, I was severely burnt out. Not necessarily because of the work at Salesforce, because I was combining my full-time work with getting an MBA full-time. That was, I probably would have made different decisions looking back on that now, because I felt like I had no life, I had no outlets, I was burnt out. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna quit this and I'm gonna do stuff on my own. I'm gonna be a freelancer, set my own schedule, and I just jumped into it and had not put the thought and the planning necessary into what it takes to build a business. So I did that for a number of months and I was freelancing. I was making money to pay my bills. I was not bringing in enough to have any kind of social life. So I couldn't go out with my friends and have, go out to dinners or just, do whatever kind of fun stuff. And Los Angeles is not a cheap city. You want to go out with friends and do things, that takes money most of the time. And yeah, so eventually I just was like, actually it was then a family event happened, which meant that I would need to be able to visit my family more frequently and on a regular basis. And again, I realized from what I was bringing in, I wasn't in the situation to do that. All signs were pointing to, all right, Jenny, you're not making this work. You got to go get a job again. And so that's what I did. I went and I applied at Lithium Technologies, which turned into Koros. And I was very fortunate to get that job because at Lithium, the role that I was in, the focus of it was working with on communities. Now, remember, I had come from a social media community background, right? Dealing with social media communities. But now this was going to be brand communities, what some people call peer-to-peer communities. So this was more of a singular focus. And I liked that. And I was like, oh, let me see what I can do with that. So that is where I really got to hone my skills and work with such amazing brands like Google and Sephora, like I've mentioned, Airbnb, Intuit, Samsung, so many wonderful, wonderful brands. And that is where I realized I have a love for this aspect of communities. And this is where I want to grow my career.
I love this. Let's take a moment and talk about the difference between social media marketing and communities, because that is something that uh, employers often confuse. So there's like there are so many community manager jobs out there, and when you go look at their descriptions, it's all about managing the social media. So can you talk a bit about the similarities and differences between these roles based on your experience working at both of them?
Yeah. So some of the similarities I see between brand communities and just social media communities are you're trying to get engagement on them. You're trying to post relevant content. You're trying to get people to interact with the content. You're trying to always get more people on social media following an account, and on brand communities, you're trying to get more people into the community. So they do have a lot of similarities when it comes to growth and engagement, and a lot of the same efforts need to be put towards analyzing the analytics and being able to tell a story about how what you're doing contributes to the company's goals. But some of the similarities, that was the similarities. But some of the differences are that social media communities are one to many. And when I say social media communities, I'm talking about things like a LinkedIn page, a Facebook page, or an Instagram account, or a TikTok account. I think that things like LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, those are separate. But mostly that's a one-to-many conversation. So the person or the brand owning that account, sends out some kind of message or post or piece of content, and people can then interact and comment on that. And sometimes great conversations happen in the comments, and people meet other people. And but from a user interface perspective, it's not always like the best way to start off your own conversation, and that's why I love peer-to-peer communities, because it is what I like to refer to as a many to many. It's not my words, actually. It's a lot of people in the industry say this, a many to many conversation. Somebody goes into a brand community and says something, anyone can respond and anyone can kick off a thread. Where like in Instagram, not anyone can go into your account and kick off a conversation or a post, right? Only that account owner. So yeah, each has their benefits, and there's some talk out there about, well, is social media really communities? It all depends on your own definition of community. And I can definitely see how some people look at their social media accounts and really do see that as a community, and that's great. And those communities thrive in many ways, just like peer-to-peer communities thrive in many ways. They have their advantages and their disadvantages.
Right. Have you helped any brands that have a social media community, like social media following basically, and help them start an online community?
Oh yeah, I've worked with a number of brands who almost all of them actually have already had social media communities, and creating like a customer community in that will be closed and just to customers or so forth. That's something new. Usually the
Hmm.
brands I've worked with have already got something going in the way of social media communities already.
So, can you tell us why should if I'm a brand and I've got a social media following, like thousands, tens of thousands of followers on different channels, but I don't have a community yet. So why should I be thinking about starting a community?
Could be a number of reasons. It depends on what business goals I think you're trying to achieve. But I think you can create better relationships, deeper relationships with people in more of a peer-to-peer community. Uh, there's a number of things you can put in a peer-to-peer community, like you can put a knowledge base with lots of resources, right? You can designate a whole experience of where people might need to go for different reasons. You can separate the discussion areas by topic or labels usually, so people can go to the area that is most relevant to their question. You can offer a search capability, so somebody can come and just search their question. A lot of those things you cannot do on a social media community. Again, it's all based on that one post that starts things off and then all the comments that follow. If you are going to do like an ambassador program, those are going to look different on social media communities than they will on like peer-to-peer. Often gamification is a little bit more associated with peer-to-peer communities than it is with social media communities. Um, and then your moderation efforts, while similar, might also differ as well in a peer-to-peer community.
Right. And just one more question on this topic. So if I'm a community manager who has social media management on their list of responsibilities, like maybe that's my primary responsibility, then how should I think about, transitioning to a more peer-to-peer community-based role?
Well, first, what I would recommend is to talk to maybe some of your most active social media users, and it all depends on what audience you want to comprise this community. So most of the brands that come to me, and they already have social media communities, they're building some sort of peer-to-peer community, usually for their customers, right? So they've usually identified some kind of audience that they want. Social media is typically open to anyone to join. So in their social media audience, they could have customers, they could have partners, they could have prospects, they could have bots, right? And usually if they're wanting to start a customer community, it's because they want to do something special for their customers that only that audience can access and that caters to that audience. Uh, so first I would say talk to current customers about this. Talk to them about where they currently get their resources. Where do they ask their questions? Are they interested in meeting other customers? It's there's a number of different questions you can ask about this, and some people say, well, you shouldn't necessarily ask about online communities because that's like leading questions. I personally do like to ask because I want to know, if we created an online community, would you use it? And then I like to ask about their behaviors on other online communities. Like, are you involved in any Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups or just other online communities in general? Oh, really? What do you like to do on there? Do you post? Do you just read and take in the information? Are you an active user? Do you get incentivized for being in that community? And usually by understanding and hearing about that behavior, you have a sense on whether they are active in online communities and therefore might be active, or their level of interest in being active in a customer community. So talking to current customers, even talking to some of your most active social media users, whether they're customers or not, if they're super active and sharing your things on social media a lot or commenting a lot, they might also bring those same behaviors into the community. So you might want to take some time to talk to them, thank them for being so active, and then run the idea by them. Hey, we're thinking about starting this community. Does that have any interest to you?
Love this. This is great advice, Danny.
Thanks.
Okay. Now let me take you to 2021 when you restarted a consulting business. This time you are going to consult with brands on helping them build their communities. Now, what was different this time? What steps did you take to prepare yourself for success?
Yes. I had been planning it for a little while in that I knew I wanted to do this. I didn't yet know exactly when I wanted to launch it. But I remember thinking to myself, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it differently. And I need to learn about what it means to run a business. So I enrolled myself in an on-demand course with a company called Consulting Success. Their website is consultingsuccess.com, and they have a course called Momentum. And I made an investment in myself to sign up for that, which ended up being one of the most important things I've ever done in business, because I can talk about community strategy all day long, but how do I package things? How do I promote my services? How do I run the business side of this? And that on-demand course had so many different modules that I took on my own time to learn all of those different things. It caters towards people who are beginner consultants. So that was exactly for me. I recommend that course as much as I can. Great company. I first heard about them through their podcast, where their weekly shows they interview consultants and ask them, how did you start? How did you build your business? What are your goals? Like all the things I wanted to know and that I want for myself. So that's what made me interested in finding out more about the company and finding out they had Momentum. The great thing about that course too, I can go back anytime I want. It's a lifetime membership. I can go in and access those modules, the video trainings, templates. They give me a lot of templates that I use right now for documents and so forth. And yeah, and once a month, there's still a live call where I can go on and ask questions from the founders and from other people who are in the Momentum program. And so to have that kind of support ongoing, that's amazing. And that course gave me the confidence to say, all right, I can do this now. I am better prepared. I am better set up. Now I just have to make a plan. When am I going to announce? When am I going to share with my company that I'll be leaving? And then how soon after that will I announce I'm creating this job? And that was also challenging because at Koros, I had the best clients I've ever had. I had amazing colleagues. It's not that I wasn't unhappy at Koros. I just, I just always wanted to work for myself. So I was really torn. I'm like, I love this company. I love what I'm doing here. And I love all these people. And yet I have to tell them that I am going to leave. So I also made the decision in leaving that it was important to me to stay on good terms with Koros, and I was not going to try and take clients or even tell my current Koros clients that I was going anywhere. And I didn't. I didn't reach out to anybody personally. People just found out when the rest of the world found out when I started making my announcements. And I'm glad, because I'm still a partner with Koros today, and I've still worked with them in some capacities. And that also made it was an extra challenge for me in the beginning to get started, without utilizing any former clients as to get going. But I was up for that challenge, and I was very fortunate that within the first 3 months, I had my first client and I was off and running.
Okay, there are two things. I have two follow-up questions there. You said that this course taught you about packaging, how to packaging your services. What did it teach you about packaging your services?
It taught me a couple of different ways that consultants package their services. It taught me some of the best practices. What I love about this course is it's really focused on people who want to be B2B consultants. And even though I've worked with B2C consultant or B2C companies, it's still relevant, right? The reason it's important to find a course like this, because there's a lot of courses out there and a lot of them that are free or or more discounted than the one I paid for. But those will cater to an audience of people who want to be personal trainers, fitness instructors, yoga teachers, life coaches, and that's a very different audience you're trying to reach than when you're working with businesses. So I liked that this course had that focus. And yeah, best practices, how other people set those things up, gave examples, gave templates for documentation. It really supplied a lot. That is one of the videos too that I've gone back and rewatched the most, because I'm constantly changing my packages. That's another thing you learn when you work for yourself. You have the ability, you can change up what you offer because it's your business. And I remember the first time I went to do that, and I was like, oh no, I shouldn't. I've already put it out there on my website, and I don't want to change things now because I feel like people will think I lied to them. And then I started contacting friends and colleagues, and they're like, it's your business, do what you want. So you'll find yourself, if you're in this kind of a role, changing up what you offer quite frequently.
Yeah, I can totally imagine how that would be so exciting. Have you I'm sure that you do change your prices in the packages. So how do you think about that, your pricing strategy?
Yeah, pricing strategy, that is one of the big topics too in that. And it's interesting because the course encourages you to think of that in two different ways. You can either offer an hourly rate for services, or you can offer, your rate built into a package. Here's a set price for everything I'm going to do. I've tried both, and I've run into problems with both. And so today I work a little bit, kind of depending on the project I'm doing, I might charge hourly, or I might, present it as a package. And I am willing to adjust my rate for clients the longer the contract. If you want to work with me for a long time, then I'm willing to give a break on price, because that means something to me to have a long-term contract. Know we're going to be building something together and have a longer relationship. But other than that, price is a tough topic. A lot of consultants want to maybe bring down their price if they're, especially in times like this, well, in the tech world of, there's a lot of budget cuts. And so I've heard other consultants say, wow, I wonder if I should bring down my price, since a lot of people don't have budget. And again, the people I've learned from at Consulting Success are very adamant on, no, do not bring down your prices. You should still be getting paid what you are worth. And don't change anything at this time. Just figure out if you can, ride it out or so. And yeah, so there's a lot to learn on that. I am not an expert on it, but I've been changing things up here and there to try to experiment with what works for me. And I haven't figured out, one set pricing strategy that is the best overall. But so far, again, it's what does work for me is kind of looking at the project, the work they want to do, the client wants to do, and then deciding if I should charge that in a package fee or an hourly fee.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing that. My other follow-up question was, you mentioned that after leaving Chorus, you made the decision to not even tell your previous client that you were working with that you are going to start your own practice. That is very admirable of you. And then you said that you got your first client within the first few months, right?
Yes, I did. I think it was within my first 3 months. Yes.
Okay, that's exciting. How did you get that first client, and how do you get clients even today?
So today, I think most of the leads and potential clients to work with come through LinkedIn, and people messaging me, or who maybe have been following me or seeing what I'm talking about. So the majority of that comes from LinkedIn. I get people contacting me through my website directly, and then I get referrals from past clients. So those are the ways I get new business today. And let's see, what was your question? Oh, how did I get my first clients? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that I'm very proud and to say and grateful for a couple of individuals who are also consultants who helped me get started. So since I didn't have any business yet, I was reaching out to other community consultants and introducing myself and letting them know what I would work on and saying, hey, if you are too busy, I'm happy, if you can't take on any more clients, I'm happy to, send them my way and I can start right away. So I was trying to forge these relationships, and some people I already knew and some consultants were brand new contacts to me. And thanks to the just kindness of people like Todd Nilsson and Carrie Melissa Jones out there who did actually, Todd brought me in to collaborate on a client project with him. And I think that was actually my very, very, very first client project. And then there was a time when Carrie was extremely busy that year. And so she sent a couple of different potential clients my way. And those ended up being some of my first clients as well. And so that just meant the world to me that these other consultants were just keeping me in mind and were willing to, pass on these individuals, this information for me to work with. And that was so key to me getting started. A lot of people think when you come into any kind of consulting role that your competitors out there might be like, I don't know, mean or are working against you in some way. And I found the exact opposite in this particular field. The community consultants out there are welcoming, and we all want to share when we can and spread the love and the experience and the projects when we can. And so I hope that never changes, even as there's going to be more and more community consultants out there, because it's a very special thing. And again, it got me started. It got me going. So I'm going to always be grateful.
That's such a little nice little story, and it just warms my heart because Bree Lever, who we had on episode 11 of this podcast, she mentioned the same thing. She said that she decided not to view other community consultants as her competitors, but actually partner with them. And now they're all just a collective, and you pass jobs to each other and help each other find work. And that's I feel that's really special. Yeah.
That is. And there's hold on, I can give you the yes, okay, so there is a group out there. So shout out to the Community Consultants Collective, who it's a group of community consultants out there, and there's a Slack community for them. And there's going to be even more happening with this group. They're going to be making announcements soon. And there's so much you can learn from these individuals. So if you are thinking about stepping into this life, I recommend joining the Community Consultants Collective. Their website is communityconsultants.life. Once again, the communityconsultants.life. And it's led by a fabulous group of people and consultants. Yeah, it continues to be a source of such revelatory and important information for running my business, for if dealing with maybe a client issue and I'm like, I don't know how to approach this. Everyone's there for each other.
I love this. We'll link to this in the show notes as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Now I want to talk about a little more about marketing your services, because one of the challenges that comes with starting your own consulting business is that you're now not just responsible for doing the work, but also talking about the work that you do, essentially. So which is marketing. And you mentioned that LinkedIn and your blog post or your website has brought clients to you. How do you think about keeping on the marketing, or do you allocate some time in the week for that, for writing LinkedIn posts or blog posts? What's your strategy there?
Yeah, I try to dedicate a couple hours a week to my own business marketing, because even though I do have a number of clients right now, I'm just, you never know. You never know what might happen. And got to keep that, those efforts going, business development efforts. And the marketing part of this is one of my favorite things about this job. I I have so much fun with it that when I'm doing it, it doesn't even feel like work. Coming up with the branding for my company and doing the website and all the things you see here. And I change my background seasonally. And so hello, spring. All of that and getting to be asked to be on podcasts and talk about community. I mean, that's just so much fun. It is so much fun. I'm having a blast doing that. I continue to. It was really, really fun in the beginning to getting to share my company name and branding and so forth. And I just think that it's important to stay active on LinkedIn for a number of reasons. Like I want to stay in the conversations. I want to be supportive of other people's conversations. I want to share interesting things I've learned or seen. And I have taken myself off of Twitter with all of the things happening. And I choose not to be active on that platform now unless I see some positive changes happening at that company. But I miss it because the conversation was a little different there and it was maybe a little bit more casual even and had so many great contacts on there. So I do find myself checking into LinkedIn more often. And I think what I've seen from other people I know who are also not active on Twitter right now, I'm seeing some things on LinkedIn where it's a little bit more conversational and just getting to know people and not always business focused. And I like that. And I hope to see more of that. And yeah, at least until, Twitter or something like it, comes to the forefront. But for me right now, that's LinkedIn and it's where I can keep up to date with the happenings of friends and everyone in this field. I love it.
I love that. And on that note, a little question. So you are also very active in writing articles on your Substack publication, right?
Yes. Well, I need to be more active, but
So,
yes.
yeah. So my question is, how do you get the ideas for those articles?
All right, I have ideas coming at me from everywhere. It's just about designating the time to write that. That I have not been so great on, but I do. Anytime I have an idea, I have a folder in my Gmail that I literally send myself an email about the idea and then I stick it in my little content ideas is what it's called. And so I've still got a lot of things in there that I've never expanded on. I do love writing too when I can actually make the time and sit down and do it. I love that. I love putting thought leadership out. I even love it when it's not thought leadership and I just feel like I've got something unique or maybe random to say. And I appreciate everyone who subscribes and that's an indicator to me that people want to hear. They want to listen to those things, whether it's thought leadership or it's random. But I usually try
Yeah.
to make sure that's always community focused. It will always be focused on community. That's why it's called All Things Community. That's the name of my Substack. And in the future, you might see me starting to play around with some Substack features here. There's the ability to create a podcast through your Substack account. And I don't necessarily know if I want to advertise it as a podcast, but it might be just kind of a, audio recording of a question I'm posing or some thoughts that I have. So there's more I want to do with my Substack. There's a lot more topics I want to write about. There's one I'm hoping to even get out this week. We'll see. But yeah, I love that platform. And I'm so grateful for all the subscribers. It's such an honor. Every time someone subscribes, that is such a great feeling that knowing that someone wants to read what I wrote. Yes. Yay. Thank you.
I love this. I'm so happy to hear that there's more where that came from, all of your ideas. And your description sounds like that was a podcast. You talking about a topic and then, just discussing it. It sounds like very much like a podcast, and I'll be very excited to listen to it when you do publish your episodes.
You're very right. I think I'm in a little bit of denial. I'm scared to call it a podcast because then I feel like I have to do it regularly. And I have not been good about being regular on my Substack. So I'm a little nervous to put it out there like that. But it wouldn't even be something long. I don't envision myself interviewing anybody just yet. It's more like part of it comes from I love audio messaging. I use it a lot, the Slack feature. I use it
Mm.
on LinkedIn mobile. There's the ability to send audio messages. I use Loom a lot in my business. And even with my friends on my iPhone, I record audio messages a lot. I really think there's something great about hearing someone's voice, especially if you've signed up to hear from that person, to not only read their words, but to hear their actual voice and what they sound like, the expressions that they're you can get out of just hearing their voice. So I like audio. That's why I want to try some things on Substack with audio.
Yeah, I would love to hear your voice more often. And I'm gonna do my part on giving you the push to actually go and start that podcast because you mentioned that one of the things that's stopping you is the fear of being regular. But I have listened to some amazing podcasts out there that are not regular. Like they produce episodes very randomly and they're still great. So it's definitely not a requirement for building a good podcast.
All right, I will take it into serious consideration. And I am going on a vacation next week and a family trip. And I'm going to ponder on that while I'm laying out on the beach. Yeah, so I will. I'll let you know when I get back.
Yay. Amazing. Okay, now we've come to the final section of the the podcast, the episode, where I'm gonna ask you for some more advice that listeners can take home with them. Let's start with imposter syndrome. So can you tell us why did you give up trying to beat the imposter syndrome?
I gave up because I started hearing these interviews on podcasts or on YouTube, things of other community consultants and experts, or even just celebrities that I follow. And there's been a lot of those where people mention that they have imposter syndrome. So it occurred to me, everybody has this. Everybody, even the most successful people out there, and business leaders too that I follow, right? And so I'm like, well, if everybody has this, why would I be trying to run from it or deny it or anything? I just said, I need to accept it. I'm going to feel it, and I have felt it. And I'm going to work with my therapist and learn how to process those feelings when they come up and work through them. And I learned through that work not to be scared of it, just to notice when those, like I said, when those feelings come up. And now I know what to do in those moments. Doesn't mean I've stopped those feelings from coming up. There will always be things that trigger that for me. And those triggers are going to be different for everyone. But yeah, I just learned to accept it. I'm going to have imposter syndrome. And that is part of being an entrepreneur and the life that I'm choosing to lead. Now, what am I going to do about it? That's the question.
Can you tell the listeners, maybe even what triggers your imposter syndrome and what steps do you take to work through it?
Let's see, what triggers my imposter syndrome? Let's see. If I watch a talk or listen to a talk of like a female business leader that I really like, and she's talking about something she did in her career that helped her get to where she was today, and it's something that I haven't considered yet, or just some how she handled a certain situation. I don't know. I find myself comparing myself to her in that moment, and that's happened. And then the following thoughts behind that are things like, well, see, Jenny, you don't know what you're doing, or like you would never have thought of that, or that self-doubt, those voices, start to try to be like, or this is why you're not going to make it to the level that she's at or something, right? And I could let those voices take over and get me really down in the dumps and stop me from growing in the ways that I want to grow. Or I can take some of the tips I've learned from speaking with my therapist about how to really sit with that and take some action steps for myself on how to deal with those feelings and those voices and those comments that are now flowing through my head. And it's crazy because it's like I generate that stuff. I generate it on my own. It's like my own internal drama. And and so I'd love to say that I will never feel that way again, but I'm sure there's going to be things that come up that will make me feel that way again.
I love this. This is a very important topic, and some of the I think most of the guests that we've talked to have mentioned dealing or developing a process of dealing through the imposter syndrome as being key to their success. So I love that you were able to find a way to get over not even get over, but work through the imposter syndrome.
Yes, and if I could challenge anyone else who feels it, that in the moment you feel it, one of the first things I do is think, oh, okay, I'm feeling imposter syndrome. This is valid. This is normal. This is not like I am not messed up. I'm not, I'm not experiencing something no one else has ever experienced before. Like this happens. This is going to come up. Okay, I can deal with this. And that is kind of the first reaction I have when I'm feeling those feelings. And I say those things to myself rather than before I had the right tools in place. My thoughts would kind of be like, oh boy, you can't, oh gosh, you're never going to be as successful. What are you doing? Why do you think you can do this? Oh yeah, it was just this rush and anxiety would come up and all these things. So now I just acknowledge myself, oh, I'm feeling it. This is normal. This happens when you're running your own business and you got dreams like mine. You know what? All right, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to work with this.
Love that. This is very empowering.
Thank you.
Okay, Jenny. One final question for the show, the closing question. You have made a very successful career pivot from traditional marketing to digital marketing. Then from being a full-time employee to starting your own consulting business. You have even moved cities twice. These are all like very scary life pivots. So what advice do you have for people who are on the verge of making a similar scary life pivot?
If you're on the verge, then there is something in you that has sparked it in the first place. And I really hope that people take the time to sit with where that's coming from. Is that like an external pressure? Is it because you're about to be offered some sort of maybe job to move, or a relationship that is now needing to move cities, which has been the case for me before, to stay in a relationship, or is it something internal that is just calling you to change places and go somewhere else and have different surroundings? And I really encourage people to reflect and sit with the why around this, and then consider all the possibilities. Even make a list if you need to, journal and spend some time. What are all the great things that could come out of this? What are the uncertain things? What is the worst case? What is the worst thing that can happen? Some of the most joyous times in my life have been those moments going in between cities and not knowing what was next. When I left Tampa to move to Chicago, I did not have a job. I didn't get that job with Career Builder till I was already there. I was going on a whim because I just always loved the city of Chicago. I have family there. I'd always wanted to live there, and something inside me was telling me, this is the time to go. Yeah, you don't have a job, but this is the time. So it was a time filled with uncertainty, but so much excitement. And then the time that I came out to Los Angeles was for a relationship that didn't work out. But God, I'm still glad that I followed that, because now I love life out here. I found my life partner. I've really made a life for myself out here. And Los Angeles is way more beautiful than not naturally beautiful than even what they show on TV. I love life out here. So yeah, figure out what the why is that is calling you to change cities or to change opportunities.
That is a wonderful advice to be closing our episode on. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode and sharing your hard-earned wisdom with us, Jenny. It has been such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you both. I hope this is beneficial for the Beginner Maps audience. And if anyone listening wants to connect with me on LinkedIn, just look up Jenny Weigle and I'll be glad to connect.